So just the other day on Friday evening, we sat down here and talked about my top recruiting classes this summer. And just like that, the next day, several of those classes got key additions. The Florida Gators got 2 additions on the defensive line. The Crimson Tide added in another offensive lineman. And as the day was dwindling down yesterday, the Oklahoma Sooners get a huge win for one of the top players in their state. Today, we need to talk about Oklahoma's big win for Jacobe Johnson, the athlete, and the number 2 player in the state of Oklahoma. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments. Y for yes, N for no. Are you excited that Oklahoma was able to keep Jacobe Johnson home? And then let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And I want to see if we can get 75 subscribers off this video alone by Tuesday. If we do, I'll be doing another joint video with an Oklahoma fan I know y'all will love. But having said all that, let's jump right into this because there's a lot for us to get to. And this edition only furthers Brent Venables' impressive recruiting class in his debut as Oklahoma's head coach. And I understand Brent Venables had a great time last cycle saving Oklahoma's class, but this is his first full cycle. And I was surprised when people are still being surprised by how effective Brent Venables is being on the trail. Look, I've talked about this before, and I need to say it again before we really hop into this. Whenever Brent Venables got to Oklahoma and that quickly was able to assemble a class that he liked, both in terms of recruiting and transfer portal acquisitions, I took notice. And it wasn't just Brent Venables, it was some of the guys on that staff that really hit the trail hard. So that now when we fast forward a few months and they're hitting the trail hard in 2023, I'm not surprised in the slightest because I just saw them do it on a really, really short notice when the pressure was much more than it is right now. But what does this mean in particular for the Oklahoma Sooners? First and foremost, it's always great to keep an in-state guy home, especially an in-state guy that ranks in the top 100 players in all of high school football. Because Jacobe Johnson comes in at number 87 overall per 24/7 Sports Composite, and he stands 6'3", 187 pounds going into his senior year. On top of that, he is a top 10 athlete in all of high school football, and that is what I find really interesting. Because if we look at this Oklahoma recruiting class top to bottom, they have several guys that are rated as athletes, and when you turn on their film, there's a lot to love. The versatility, how much they can do. It's really exciting if you're an Oklahoma fan wondering what this Brent Venables defense is going to look like. And if you're at all familiar with the Brent Venables defense, you'll know he utilizes some hybrid players. And that is exactly why I wanted to turn your attention to the athletes they've gotten in this class. Because one of the things that I've taken notice of with Oklahoma recruiting is that they've been able to win the battles that are necessary for the scheme they want to put forward. And that is incredibly important. It's one thing to just add in a bunch of talented pieces. That already is a great place to start. But do those talented pieces fit with what you want to do? And if the answer is no, well, then you've really put yourself behind the 8 ball because you need guys that are going to fit what you do. Jacobe Johnson is a guy that fits what Brent Venables wants to do because this is somebody that plays on both sides of the ball, and on top of that, he's a multi-sport athlete playing football and basketball and playing wide receiver and corner at a very high level at the high school game. But what does this addition mean for Oklahoma's recruiting class as a whole going forward? And this is addition number 20, and they are just sitting outside the top 5 at number 7. The good news, though, so many Oklahoma fans have continued to tell me, people I've talked to, there are several prospects that Oklahoma feels like they are in phenomenal positions to land in the coming weeks. And when they do, it's going to only increase their rating. And on top of that, they're still in a ton of other battles that might go the distance, but they feel good about where they sit. So this Oklahoma recruiting class is on the precipice of being an elite recruiting class done in Brent Venables' first year as a head coach, which is very, very compelling. But one thing else we need to note is that being a first-year head coach doesn't carry the barriers to recruiting that so many people once believed it did. Because if we look around college football right now, Brent Venables is an excellent example of this, but he is not alone in being an excellent example. There's Dan Lanning at Oregon, there's Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. All individuals come from a background of knowing what success looks like. Dan Lanning at Georgia just won a national championship being the defensive coordinator for the Georgia Bulldogs. Brent Venables has won national championships being the defensive coordinator at Clemson, and then saw an incredibly successful Oklahoma program when he was with the Sooners. So not only is he familiar with success, he's familiar with the Sooners and what success looks like for the Oklahoma Sooners. And on top of that, Marcus Freeman has been the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame. He's been in the building. And no matter how you feel about how Notre Dame has finished seasons, one thing we absolutely cannot take away from the Fighting Irish is that they've been one of the top teams in college football year in and year out. All three of those individuals, Freeman, Venables, and Lanning, have hit the ground running when it comes to recruiting, and they don't look to be stopping anytime soon. And more impressive than that, it's where they're going to win these battles. I mean, Brent Venables has been incredibly successful at getting guys out the state of Florida, out the state of Texas. Now he's adding in a top 5 player in his own backyard in the state of Oklahoma when he's just gotten back there. You look at Dan Lanning, he's been able to go all over the country and land guys for the Oregon Ducks. You look at Marcus Freeman has landed guys out of Texas, wherever, and if they're able to go out there and back it up with successful seasons, well, the level of intrigue, the level of hype around these programs is only going to exponentially increase. So that's why so many people are going to be watching all three of those institutions so closely, because they deserve to be watched closely. But at the end of the day, this is a fantastic addition for the Oklahoma Sooners. You're able to keep one of the top players in all of high school football home, as he's the number 2 player in the state of Oklahoma. You're able to get in a phenomenal win in a class that is stacking impressive wins, and on top of that, it doesn't look to slow down anytime soon. I need to hear from you. Hop down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this addition. I know you have to be excited. Let me know the names you're looking for Oklahoma to add in next. That's it. See ya.